Okay, so welcome back to the 70, I can't say 76, the 74 Delph Blue Tr6. Okay, it's frustrating the fact that I have to go back out to the body shop to get the stuff done, and I can't put anything on it. I literally can't put anything. Everything I've put on, I have to take off. The only thing I can sort of do on the car is two things. One is I can start putting all the stuff back in the doors, like the tracks and all that. I can put them on, and I can actually, believe it or not, put the engine and gearbox in. Other than that, when the car's away, I'm going to get other stuff done. Like I have the lights done. I'm going to do the steering column. I'm going to do the dash. I'm going to put the USB in the dash and all that. So I'm going to do some other stuff while the car is gone that I would have done while I was here ready to fit on. Other than that, like I said, I'm going to put the engine and gearbox in. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to take the engine that's right here. Now, some parts missing off. It's been done for a while, but it hasn't been fully complete anyway. So more parts have to go on it, but I'll put them on once it's actually in. Like even some nuts and bolts I didn't put back on, just to like fully have it in, and then I know exactly what's going on it, and then I'll tighten up. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to put on our crane, I'm going to take our gearbox that's sitting here on the floor, and I'm going to bolt that to it. So, and then I'm going to be ready to put it in. So, I guess it's on with this. So time for some more high speed. So let's roll on the high speed. Okay, so we're getting to the point where we're almost about to put the engine and gearbox in. I have pretty much most of it bolted up. I can put it in, even though these floors are going to get done. I'm putting it in because, to be honest, when the floor comes off, it's going to bypass the engine and gearbox anyway, so it's going to come straight over. But this is a late model. This is a 74, and what was in it was the engine and a J-type overdrive. However, we're converting to an A-type. So that was an A-type drive one I put on. There's two ways, because it sits on, these sit on different. There's two ways you can do this. One is the bracket here. You can either take this bracket off completely discard it and get the bracket for the A-type overdrive. It's pretty much a dead flat bracket, and you get the bushing for it like this. It's a long piece and sits on top, and that's it. And it sits way out here, and then it just simply goes straight down. However, this one you can see sits back far, and it sits at an angle. So because we're converting, what you will need is this. It's a 2-piece, and it converts from a J-type, which has the angle here, and this has another plate forward, and then that will meet the actual gearbox as it sits down. You don't need any other bushings because the bushings here are still being used. So give it a little push in. So it gets bolted down like here, and then the gearbox simply sits on top, and that's it really. So if you are changing from a J type to an A, make sure you purchase these. You'll have to buy them, and it's just a conversion kit. So I'm not sure exactly how much it comes to, but that's it. All right, so let's continue on with getting the engine and gearbox in. Okay, so we have an engine in. So I don't know if you've seen, but when I got in there, there was a little bit of a struggle when we got to the inside because we got the engine in, went in pretty good and clean. I would have liked it maybe a bit more of an angle. But again, working like that is a 2-person job. I can put it in on my own if I'm bolting to the gearbox. But putting it all in as one, and again, you're less likely to touch it, and you're less likely to hit the steering rack anywhere down here. You won't hit that if you put it in all as one. It'll just go cleanly right over. The only thing I will have to do is obviously I will eventually have to unbolt it and lift it up to get the damper back in, because the damper's not going to fit in that gap. I'm not worried about that yet because it's going off to get the thing done. The body's coming off, so I'm not too worried about that. When I come back to it, I'll do that. I'll raise it up and I'll put the damper on, and I'll get that done. I like to leave it off because you're more likely going to damage it putting it on, so it's not worth it. I just want to make sure everything's buttoned up, bolted up, everything is sitting nice, because there's no harm in just pulling it back up, lifting it, and getting that back in. Anyway, so our engine is in, as you can see. It'll stay like this. So it's pretty much stay like this as it goes to the body shop. I'm not going to do too much with it. Obviously, when I put the gearbox on, I put the stainless steel pipe on, I realised before I forgot, because then I realised I have to undo that bolt. And that's the thing about why I try to put as many as I can on, because it is hard to get to these sometimes. When there's no cover on it, it's not too bad. But the more I put on, the better, because I do only have the starter motor to go in and all there. I didn't put it in because, again, I don't want as much on it as the body comes off. So, one thing I do want to point out, this is where we struggle a little bit. So, as you can see here, this is where it all lines up. What we found when we put it in is that I had to take one of the engine mount offs because I just hadn't got enough space to squeeze the two flanges apart. So I had to take one of the engine mounts off to allow the thing to slide forward just enough to get that back up. I put one bolt in it just to keep it aligned, and then I left it. Then I went back to here. The one thing I forgot to say, and again, it's only after we put it in we realise, is that the bracket down here, this bracket here, has to move forward. If you're running the J-type, it's on the rear two holes. If you're on the A-type, it's on the front two, because it's only when we lined up we realised we're short by about an inch and a half. That inch and a half difference is the movement forward, and then these will line up here. So just remember that if you're putting an A-type onto a later model using this bracket, you have to move the whole bracket forward. That's really it. Otherwise, after that, then it was a matter of just putting it all up. And well, which order do you do it in? I started by getting this bracket tightened up, then I tightened up this, then I tightened up the onto the overdrive. You could tighten up first. I don't think it makes much of a difference which order it's in. As long as all buttons up, that's pretty good. And like I said, as long as all the flange lines up, that's why you have a little bit of play on it, because it does a little flex. Other than that, went in pretty good and smooth. Obviously, again, putting it in this way is a two-person job. So once you come in, again, it's just a matter of if you didn't take that bracket off, it was in the right spot. If you have enough of an angle, you can actually you see me had the strap, and we just lift it with the strap, lift it up and over, and then rest it on top of it. We ended up removing the bracket originally. We ended up taking this out just to allow it to slide up and around and come up, because we hadn't got enough of a pitch. So I wasn't able to get it pushed in far enough. But again, sometimes you just have to make it up as you go along. And that's it. So I'll end up changing these sensors. I'll end up putting new ones in there, but it's really it. So that's our engine in. So another little step forward. I'll leave the cover off, I think. I may or may not put it on, I'm not sure. It's going to the body shop. It's going to get the tub taken off, but I'll probably just bolt it on. I'll do as much as I can, so I'll probably end up maybe moving on to the water pump and so on, getting that on, just what I can while I have it here. All right, let's keep moving forward and add what we can onto it before it goes to the body shop. So got the damper on. A little bit more difficult than I thought. I thought the last time I'd done something like this to lift up and put it in was a lot easier. It could be a lot easier on the early ones with the 3/8 damper, only because it'd be a little narrower. Maybe that's the reason why. This one I found that when I took off the mounts and I raised it up, it went in, but I couldn't get it to sit flush because I needed to go raise it about another 1.5 inches. So the only way I could do was sort of put it in and let the engine drop down and then just tap it inwards and eventually got to get in. Yeah, so I guess next time I do that, I'll make sure to actually, when I get the engine over, I'll put the damper on before I drop it down. So once I get it over the steering rack, I'll put the damper on, just even slap it on, and you don't even need the bolt on it, and then let it, as you come down, then do that. So note for next time to do that. Even though I'm doing it my way, I'll put in the gearbox, lift up and do the same thing, and I'll drop it in. Anyway, other than that, it's in. And keep going. So let's keep adding more pieces to the engine. Okay, so we're back to the front of the car. So putting some bits and pieces on, I put the belt on. I had a little bit of trouble putting this on because apparently when I took it off, obviously it's not the same one going back on. I was wondering why it wasn't going on right. Apparently there's a little, just here it got rebuilt, there was a little bore on the metal and I had to file it down to get the sleeve in to line up. What I had to do as well is that I had to loosen off the bracket so the bolt would go through to line up, because it wasn't exactly perfect and the bolt wasn't going through, and the collar on the collar on the collar I said the word. So our outer collar here, that our spacer, if you want to call it, distance spacer for the alternator, that sits in a little hole that's on the front plate, engine plate, but the bolt wasn't going all the way through, so I had to loosen the bracket for the alternator in order to line up straight to get the slide in. Sorry, it's going out of focus. So once I got that on, I was able to put the rest of it on. I also had a little trouble with the coil. So I have a new one here that was supplied to me, a Moss Motors one, and it was too big. When I say too big, the coil itself is fine, but the bracket that came with it was too wide to fit onto the engine block. So no matter how much I would have put the bolt behind to squeeze it, it would have been too wide. So I didn't want to start butchering it just to make it a fit. So I put the Lucas Sports ones back on. So just be mindful of that, like when you buy them, whoever you buy them for, you actually get a bracket that fits the car. So just be careful of that. Again, it was a Moss Motors part. I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these are wrong parts, but like, just be mindful that the bracket actually fits first, because the coil itself was actually a lot fatter. So the bracket going around it set out wider and didn't line up with the holes, so you might have to butcher it to get it to fit. Anyway, we're on to here. So I've come back down to the steering because before I put the rad in, I wanted to show you something. So when this went out to a body shop some years ago to get the frame redone, they put the steering rack on wrong. The easiest way to say it. So obviously they took out the brackets that hold the steering rack on and put them on, but they put the spacer or the sleeve on the bottom half. Sorry, they put it up top and it's actually meant to be underneath. So that's basically, this here is actually meant to, this piece here is meant to actually distribute the weight across this bracket here. So with up top it's doing absolutely nothing. The only thing he's done is raise the steering rack. And that might have a little partial to do with why I was struggling to get the damper on. Why I said, why am I not getting enough room? Just because that just fraction of enough to not let me just sit it in. And that could have been just from this. So as you can see, I fixed this side. So I took the out, and as you can see, it's in underneath, and the bend goes to the inside. Goes to the inside. So in this one, the bend be flipped upside down, and that will go in the inside, and that stops it from going left to right. But it's meant to distribute the weight. So just be mindful if you're doing it, or somebody's doing your chassis for you. Just check that when you come back, because that means erase the steering rack. Will it affect the steering? No, but it's a weaker spot, and it's not meant to be done that way. So you have to watch out for that. So I've done one, and I'm going to fix the other one now. So I'm just going to unbolt it, tap it all out, and swap it around, and then I'm ready to put the rad in. So let's get cracking to it. Alright, so we have that changed back the way it should be with the brackets on the bottom. So the steering rack has gone down. I'll get a torque, and I'll actually get the torque settings for that, and I'll torque it up. But you can see it raised it a bit, and so that's probably, that little difference probably made a difference trying to get that damper on. Only because, like I said, it pulls down a lot more, squashes it down. So yeah, that could make a difference. So with that done, I can move on to the rad, which is over here ready to go in. So what I will have to do though is I'm going to cut some nice little rubber pieces. I have some old rubber for like mats, so I'm going to cut a new fresh one. It doesn't make a difference. The whole idea is that there's meant to be a rubber spacer underneath. You can use anything, just any old piece of thick rubber. And I'm just going to cut out just that sits on there. It doesn't have to be pretty. And then I'm going to unbolt these to put in the other one. So I'll do that in the next part. But for now, that's it for this part. It's nearly ready to go back out to the body shop to get the body taken off. And that's why I want to put limited stuff on this. It's going back out to the body shop. That's why I don't want to put the star or anything like that. I'm just putting limited. Worst case, if you really need it, you can actually just move the alternator over without taking it off. That's it. So join me in the next part. Well, we'll throw the rad in. We'll throw the other little rad in. And then I'll probably start working on the dash and start putting some stuff together, doing up the lights, fixing the lights and all that jazz, if I haven't already done it. I've already done it, I just don't know if I put the video up already. I might just edit in and add it into the next one. So, alright, join me in the next part. Thanks for watching. Oh, and hit the subscribe button, give the thumbs up. I always appreciate any comments and so on and so forth. Like I said, there's always stuff to throw in. A bit of knowledge, absolutely. If it's something I missed or something you'd like to know, by means, throw it in there. It's all a world of knowledge and experience. And like I said, the best way to learn is when we've gotten it wrong, and I've gotten it wrong many times. I don't always get it right. I'm no shame in saying that. But yeah, there's been amazing comments, and I really appreciate the good feedback I get. I really appreciate when people subscribe to the channel. So again, if you can subscribe, it'd be much appreciated by me. And again, yeah, I just love when people put their own opinions in and their own experiences and little bits of stuff they've learned to make life easy. So yeah, by all means. So again, thanks for watching, and see you in the next part.